Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you coming for the last wine and read. And we have actually we have 7 featured authors tonight. There's some other authors here, chapter writers that are here to support and to ask questions. So some of you have been on the wine and reads before, the other 2. So let me just, but for those of you that have not, let me just give you a quick rundown of what's going to happen here. So does it, first of all, does everybody have something to drink? Yay. Okay.
Yay.
So we like to start out by having a toast. So I'd like to make a toast to Fuffy from us for you. Yay.
Yay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay. I would like to do a thank you to Kimber, wave Kimber, and Melissa. Melissa and Kimber are have been guiding me through this process. They've been like my right and left hands through this whole process. So some of you have met them all, or have met them on the interviews that we did. So they are still with me. They haven't run away yet. But I just want to call them out and thank them for all their hard work. So thank you.
Thank you. And to follow that thank you train, they're not here tonight, but I want to extend another thank you to, we've actually had 2 social media interns that have joined our marketing team, Molly and Dominique, and they have been the ones fiercely promoting you on social media every single day since we started this project. So we're going to be thanking them online after book launch. So please give them some love. Again, their names are Molly and Dominique, and they've been working really, really hard for you. So they're wonderful, wonderful young women.
Yes, they are. Very, very helpful. And okay, so these are the authors that you're going to hear from tonight. Danyelle Cavaness-Weatherford. Danyelle, yay. Jennifer Rio Ruddle. I know she is the beautiful one with the crown and the gold dress. Julie Kidd, Marilyn Szczotka or Zott, yes. Eva Louis, there she is, okay. Ammie Masterson, there's Ammie. Melissa is going to talk tonight. We all know Melissa. And I don't see Sherry. I'm not sure if she's going to be joining us or not, so we shall see. We've asked the featured authors to do one of 3 things. We or some of them do 2 of 3 things, whatever will fit into their 5-minute time frame. So either to read a couple paragraphs from their Fuffy chapter, recite their favorite quote and what it means to them, or relay a brief story that impacted them. Maybe it's something that you didn't write about in the book, but it's still something that meant something to you. So the whole purpose of tonight is just to, allow others to get to know you a little bit. And so we'll have you speak for about 5 minutes, talk for about 5 minutes, and then we'll have a 5-minute Q&A where people can ask you questions. And we do encourage those questions. Melissa is going to be monitoring those questions. So all you need to do is to type them in the chat, and she'll watch for those and ask the questions afterwards. Okay.
Yes, and guests and fellow authors, please drop questions in the chat, because otherwise it's 5 minutes of awkward silence. So, or Diane and I have to make up weird questions. So Diane's going to be holding up like a 1-minute sign when the author is getting close to the end of their time. And when you see that, you can start dropping your questions in the chat, and I'll start pulling them together for the author. So thank you so much in advance for that.
So I'll give you a 1 minute when you're close to the, 1 minute away from your talking, and then also 1 minute away from your Q&A. So when you're responding to the Q&A, if you see that again, and that'll keep us on track for tonight.
Yay.
Okay, so we pull for a door prize. And if you win, you can unmute yourself and say, yay. All right, here we go. Door prize. And this is for the little coaster, the From Us For You coaster. These are all courtesy of my friend Sherry, who put these together. And the winner is Eva. Yay. I love it. All right, Eva.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I love it. The last
thing where there was a drawing, I won. So that's like, if you're around me, I don't know if on Zoom, you might be another winner. Just so you know, it's a little contagious.
We're on a winning streak. Nice.
Good. That's good. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And well, actually, Eva, I was going to start with you, so you can go ahead and unmute yourself again.
Okay. All right. So you all know who I am. So I'm going to read an excerpt from my chapter. It was scary and exhilarating all at the same time. My decision to pursue the entrepreneurial life was a result of my health, the stress from my job, and my life circumstances at the time. How did the whispers come into play? They were always in my ear, reminding me of the goals and dreams I had. I knew my passions and how I wanted to work to be inclusive of all of them, so I would not have to choose one over the other. I wanted to wake up every day and do what I loved. My mission statement enabled this pursuit: edification of others with positive encouragement to show others what is possible. My clear mission enabled me to hear the whispers and help me follow them as I began the building of my company. I learned in high school, college, and through self-education everything that I needed to launch my business. What did I sacrifice at the time? I left a 9-to-5 life that was comprised of working 80 to 100 hours a week. I had worked there 4.5 years. It was totally not a sustainable work life. I gave myself time to rest and listen to the whispers daily. I also allowed myself to heal and to learn what I really needed to survive. I learned I could eat on $35 a week and that I could manage without the weekly paycheck. I downsized to a single room. I lived a minimalist life so I could be grateful and not take for granted the things I had in life. I slept on the floor for 30 days to appreciate having a good bed. I asked for help from friends who provided me safety during a trying personal time. This may seem extreme. Conversely, for my scenario and life circumstances, it was all necessary. They were decisions I intentionally made to help me get where I needed to be so I could take care of myself, then help others. It was a challenge. I learned how to truly live a passion-driven life and do the work I was meant to do. Validation from the whispers came constantly during this time. My first paid international contract came in less than 2 months of forming my new company. I established a network of people and individuals whom I still work with today. After a decade of being in business, I still wake up every day to pursue my passion and live it fully.
Thank you, Eva, so much for sharing that excerpt from your chapter. That was so awesome to hear. So I have a bunch of questions for you, but we have a practical one that just came in,
Yes.
which is if you could share the name of your company and how long you've been doing it.
My company is called Chronic Behavior, and I've been in business since 2010, so going on 11 years.
Wow, congratulations on that. That's a really big achievement. Yeah.
Yes.
And Lori is curious, what exactly was that moment where you decided to make that shift? Like, what made you finally decide, yes, I need to be my own boss?
Well, I think in December of 2009, I made a career choice on a decision that I made, knowing that that was going to cause a chain reaction of effects. That on my own, I would not have been able to make that decision. And 4 months later, I had my boss at the time, who was really probably one of the most horrible people I'd ever worked with. He called me one afternoon and said he had some questions. I was really like fed up, and I just told him, do whatever you have to do to make it right for you, and I will deal with it. And at that moment, I already had the name of my company, and basically the ball was rolling at that point. So April of 2010 is when the effect of that decision I made in December of 2009 kicked in. And then 2 months later, had a magical management change at my company. And I started my company September 1 of 2010. So
Awesome. So Kimber asked a question, but okay, she asked if you would ever go back, if you ever felt the need to financially, but I actually
Yes.
know you've been working for
Yes.
SRP. So
Yes.
maybe you could talk a little bit about how you're handling the balance of owning your own business and also working kind of back in the
Yes.
corporate sector.
Well, what's interesting about kind of the type of individual that I am, I'm a left and right brain individual. So I'm not only a creative artist, entrepreneurial, wild spirit, I am also very logical, software, IT, infrastructure driven, and working in large corporations has always been kind of a home for me, if I would say. And so for me, having both actually keeps me balanced. If I did not have one, if I only had one, I would be too much because I'm very obsessive and compulsive. And so because of my passion, I'm very driven to do things. So I would go overboard and it would be unhealthy if I just did one thing. So in order for me to be balanced, now the interesting thing about SRP, they hired me for my exact specialty, which is a lifelong position of expertise that I had worldwide. So what they brought me on for, and I was actually recommended, I didn't go to them looking for a job, they came to me. So I view it as they came to me. I didn't go to them looking for the work. And it was exactly the role that I wanted to be in. So yeah, so that's how that works.
That's lovely when that happens from the universe.
It is. And there's a lot that goes into kind of those whispers that I talk about that have happened throughout my entire life that have led me in every single place that I've been. So.
Okay, so that is a fantastic segue into the next question. Danyelle was actually asking, when you experience the whisper that you're talking about, what is that like? What do you mean when you say that? What does that feel like?
It is, it's almost as if I think my whole sense of being becomes taken over from a sense of realization and almost a peaceful, calming experience that I experience from head to toe. And then it's clarity in words that are told to me to either take action, to move, to talk to somebody, to engage, to make a decision. So all of those things are prompted by that whisper that provides me the clarity. So it's an experience, literally, that happens a lot of times.
Right. Cassandra, a good friend to both you and I, is asking what you would tell a younger version of yourself about persevering.
I think the biggest thing that I've learned over this time that I think I wish I would have done, or maybe that I would have spent more time learning earlier, is what the effects of stress are on you from a health perspective and learning how to cope differently. Because when I was young, my brain wouldn't shut off. And in junior high and high school, I found not the best ways to cope. So, and that became a habit and a trend for many, many, many years. So
one thing about Eva, when she says she like goes all in on things, she's like light speed in Star Wars. Like when she decides to like commit to something, it's like R2-D2 screaming, ah! It's like everything's happening in light speed. She really does fully commit. And that's one of the things that people have come to just rely on and love about Eva is she not only works for herself, but works for any team she's a part of so loyally and tirelessly and with fresh ideas. She's absolutely an asset to everybody. So thank you so much, Eva, for sharing.
Thank you so much, Melissa.
Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to Julie.
Well, so I'm also not going to read anything, but I know what the story is. But Ava, I so relate to you because during the day I work for Deloitte Tax. So that part of my brain, but I spend every waking moment creating, I always feel like I'm lying, like my life is a lie. I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm creating this. For those that don't know me, first of all, what an honor to be a part of this book. You know, that little voice in me says I don't belong, but whatever. It's always there going, wah, 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 wah. I'm a comedian and I produce the Funniest Housewives comedy show. So, you know, I do tax in the day and then, you know, comedy at night. But, you know, Diane knows the story, but when you had asked me to, wait, first, I have a question. Do you play piano, Diane? Because I see the piano.
I tinkle on it just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm obsessed. I play for an hour a day, but I still suck after.
Well, you need to come over and play this one because it hasn't been played for a while.
It probably needs a good tune up.
Yes.
You know, when Diane had asked me to do the chapter, I was working on another book, and I ended up getting shingles and COVID, and I just wore myself out. And that's how same way, Eva, I just go, and there's no stopping. And now I'm working on, you know, 3 other books and going. But so the piece that I put in the From Us for You was called Furry, Funny, and Fantasy. And I got the idea because we were going to do Christmas Steal a Gift game. And, you know, we kind of went back and forth if we should even, you know, have family over, but we decided to do it. And so we were going to do this gift exchange. And I just thought it was so interesting that we do that Christmas exchange where you steal the gift. And we get so excited. Like somebody goes, oh my God, look what, you know, they open their gift and, you know, it's lottery tickets. And then another family member goes and steals them. And we don't even like feel bad, you know, we're taking something they love. And we've all played that game. But the truth is we ended up not doing Christmas because I had COVID pretty bad. And then so that was Furry, Fantasy, Funny, to Steal This Gift. Furry is I'm a huge animal lover. And in fact, I am vegan and I sleep with 2 cats and pretty much like breastfeed them. Sorry, that is so gross. But I was just kidding. And so furry, and then fantasy is I love to manifest and make my dreams come true. And in fact, when I had COVID, I started binge watching this show called I Can See Your Voice on Fox. Has anyone seen it? I Can See Your Voice on Fox. And
I've seen it.
Okay, great. So I was watching it in December and I'm like, God, I could do that. I could lip sync. You know, I'm a fake singer. And literally, so I kept thinking about that show. Literally 3 days later, a producer called and said, hey, I've seen your comedy videos on YouTube. I don't know if you've heard about this show, I Can See Your Voice, but we think you'd be great for it. Would you be interested? And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I've been thinking about it. So anyway, I ended up doing the show. My filming is done. I'm on season 2, episode 2. So check it out on Fox. And even when I was doing the show on stage, I was manifesting the outcome of the show. And I've never really manifested in present time, but it was absolutely incredible and really one of the best experiences of my entire life, especially everything turning out the way I had hoped for. So anyway, I'm really into fantasy and manifesting and dreaming and imagination. Okay, thank you. And then the funny is the funny gift. I've been doing stand-up comedy for over 30 years, and it's what I love. Cindy knows. She's been there. Funny was how I first learned any social skills growing up, because when I was young, I was quite the bully. And, you know, we really have to look at both sides of the equation, the bully and the person getting bullied. Hurt people. So thank God I grew out of that. I mean, I can't even kill a cockroach. A lot of evolving and life changing. And I continue to, you know, take my path in the best way possible. So anyway, furry, fantasy, funny. I don't know if it's in that order, Diane, but I loved writing it. Thank you. And I hope everyone enjoys it and, you know, is inspired.
Thank you. I'm sure they will.
Thank you so much, Julie. We've got some good questions coming in.
Okay.
But I'm going to start with a really basic one because I like Eva and a lot of other people here come from a corporate world where we're used to setting goals, right? And kind of these to-do lists, but I now work for a boss who's really big on manifestations and intentions. And there's a big difference between manifestation and intentions and business goals. So can you talk a little bit about what that process looks like for you, setting a manifestation and having that come into fruition?
Yeah, like when I was talking about I Can See Your Voice, the Fox TV show, like I accidentally manifested that. And in fact, when they had called, I was like, well, do I really want to do this? And then anyway, I started manifesting through, I read The Secret, 20 years ago or something. And I do believe, in this energy field and universe, and that we really can, manifest anything we want. But there's a big believership in the manifesting. Like I can't just go, oh my gosh, I want a mansion tomorrow. Do I really believe that is? And I also think, money is energy. I used to find myself saying things like, oh my God, I only have $5 in my account. Oh my God. Oh my God. Now I might say, thank God I have more than $5 in my account, but I would say, oh, I have $5 in my account. I think I just changed my way of viewing things. Oh, I get to pay this bill, the electric bill. Back in the day, it was like, I have so many freaking bills. I can't handle this, changing my thinking and the words that come out of my mouth and my thoughts. I think anything is, I just am blown away some of the opportunities that I have manifested and created. But I also listen to the voices in my head, like Eva was saying, those whispers. I was in the pool in August where I live, and this voice said, write this book called this, write a book called this. And the next thing you know, which is why I got sick, because I worked on it 12 to 16, 18 hours a day. I went through with that voice, and the voice would come to me at night while sleeping, wake me up. And I ended up publishing a fantastic, I don't want to promote my books here, but something super fantastic. So I listened to those voices, and, there's a lot more to it, I guess, in just 1 minute, but it really is doable. Read about it, meditate. We're just worth so much more than we allow ourselves to believe.
Well, Julie, I'm going to give you the opportunity to promote your book and yourself, because Eva has asked what the favorite thing is that you've created. So if you want to share a little bit about either that project you were just talking about, or another favorite thing that you want to share.
Well, I have created a lot of wonderful things. I taught tap for 25 years, and I created a workout video. It was on Dr. Phil, and he, put me down and made me cry, but that's a whole nother story. The latest thing that I did 2 books back to back. I did Embracing My Funny Bone, Even When Shit Happens. And it's about finding the funny through the hard times. And my most recent book that really is something I'm excited that's out there right now is, Funniest Housewives. It's really about the 12-year process of women in comedy. It's definitely a man's world. It's the subtitle is When Laughter and Inspiration Collide, and it's got the women, great women, Wendy Liebman, famous women in there that talk. They have jokes and inspiration, but it tells the story of the beginning to the end. And my stepsister, who's also the original producer, we co-produced it together. She died. And so I had to make the decision to keep the girls going. So for about 4.5 years, I did. It was a tough decision. And then of course, COVID came, and, things were really, really popping, and I was super excited. So, that, and then, thank you. And then I have another book that I have finished. It's in the 3rd edit, called Fireheart. That is about prisoners that get recruited to fight fire in California. And my son was one of those prisoners, and he fought some huge fires for about 4 years, and they're not really paid, and they're not very well taken care of. I understand they're prisoners, but it's a very interesting story what goes on, in fire camp with these prisoners that, some of them just are in for, weed and drugs. But anyway, so I love to write, and I love all this opportunity. So thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. That book sounds fascinating. And Diane, I don't know if we have time to squeeze in one last question, but I think Kimber's question is actually really relevant right now. And that is, Do you feel restricted or censored at all in your comedy with sort of the climate of society right now? You know, everybody is getting really offended by lots of things. And
Yeah.
does that affect your ability to kind of let loose in comedy?
I think that I have censored myself as I've grown and evolved as, you know, a woman, a mother, I'm a grandmother, a great grand. Some of the jokes that I used to do, I'm like, oh gosh, that is just not funny. So I am, you know, I do like my joke, right? In fact, this whole year in COVID, I'm changing my set a lot. You know, I have Black children. I'm not looking to offend anybody or make jokes about things that really matter. And I think what's going on in our society is very heartbreaking. So I do see myself getting more political. So I'm not sure where that's going to take me, but I'm going to listen to those voices. And the universe right now is taking me in such a different direction, and I'm ready. Take me there, wherever I need to go.
I love that. I love that attitude. And you know what I want to
Thank you.
say, Ava and Julie, if you want to drop links or anything in the chat, in the comment section, so people can find your books or follow you on social media, I think folks would really enjoy that. So please feel free to share that information in the chat when you get a
Okay.
chance.
Awesome. Thank you. Good conversation. Okay, Sherry could not make it tonight. So we're going to go to you, Melissa.
All right. Well, hello. So I'm actually like a younger Ava, basically. My story is very similar. So I'm not going to read an excerpt from my chapter either, but essentially I'll give you just a little background of it. I was a manager of digital operations at USA Today, which I don't know if you know is the largest media company in the country. They own over 100 properties throughout the United States. And so I was over the Western region, and it was very stressful. It was very taxing for so many different reasons, not just because of the people that I managed, but because of the heavy news cycle. We had shootings and wildfires and crime and things that I was absorbing on a regular basis. And when I left, I was the most unhealthy, overweight, you know, angry, bitter, just sort of just not a good person. I didn't like myself very much when I left. And but I did leave intentionally. And what happened was, you know, I always called it my accidental career. I started 10 years ago and never left. And it was a blessing at the time when I got the job, and then I got really comfortable and I never really pursued what I wanted. And then, you know, in my last year there, I was talking to my manager, and she basically asked me the question, you know, you need to start thinking about your 5-year plan. And the next step for you is to be a department director. And everything in me was just like, no, I don't want that. And so then I started realizing that I had no idea what I did want. I had absolutely no idea. I could not answer very simple questions of what makes me happy. What do I want to do with my life? You know, it was like, I just didn't know. I never had the opportunity or the time or the grace for myself to listen to myself. And so when I did leave, I did something kind of unusual. And I purposefully decided that I wasn't going to find another job right away. And I wasn't going to rush that process at all. I really wanted to take some time to do a lot of healing work and examine a lot of those things that I had never taken the chance to examine before. And that's kind of the unique situation that I was in. I realized not everybody can do that. You know, I had a very supportive husband and a very supportive parents, both of which are on. My husband and my parents are on tonight. And so I felt very blessed to do that. And what was interesting about my process was that at first it was very uncomfortable. I found that I didn't know how to relax. And I found that all I was trying to do was like move to the next thing. You know, I was like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And then something sort of shifted in me, and I thought, maybe I don't need to do anything. Maybe I just need to be still. And that kind of became a process for me for 3 months, where I actually ended up isolating for a year. I read almost every self-help book I could get my hands on. I started meditating. I started doing what I called spiritual walks, where I would go on a walk and I would just talk to God and to the universe and kind of free everything out that was in me. And journaling has always been a big part of my life, and I was doing that. And it was fascinating to me because I was getting to know myself really well, but I still had no idea what I wanted to do, like when I grow up. Like I didn't know what job I wanted to move to, or, you know, what I was going to do to make money, because the thing that kept becoming more and more clear to me was I didn't really want to work for somebody else. And I couldn't deal with a company again that didn't match my ethics or my moral standards or my belief in kind of performing energetically. And what I mean by that is, you know, I don't do great on a 9 to 5. Sometimes I wake up and I work really great for 4 hours and then I'm done, you know, and some days I can work for 10 hours and it's good. And some days I just need to take off. And so I wanted to be able to be in control of those things for myself. And what I found was really surprising to me. And that was, I just started sharing my thoughts and my experiences with other people. And then I would get all these messages back from mostly women that were like, oh my God, I had no idea other people felt this way, or I had no idea someone else was experiencing this. And suddenly that became my business. That became my new path in life, was creating a community and a website for women to feel empowered and to get to know themselves and to just have a voice and be supported. And so that was sort of my next accidental career that I ended up falling madly in love with. And so my chapter is all about creating an intentional life. So thank you.
Thank you, Melissa, and aloha, everyone. I'm taking over for Melissa for a moment. Beautiful what you said. And while you were speaking, you kind of reminded me of my younger self. I spent 21 years working for an airline. And when I left, I just wanted nothing to do with it and I wanted to move forward. So when you were talking, my question would be, because this happened to me years down the line, I really missed it. I missed growing up with what, you know, what grew me and my emotions. And so do you ever miss that part of you or your life then?
You know what? That's an interesting question. I miss the early days. So like when I first started working at the company, I got to do really fun things like interview Martha Stewart and Mario Lopez and make weird videos of like baking cookies on my windshield. And, you know, I used to do really fun stuff. And the more I got promoted, the less fun I got to have. And so I miss the early phase of that career. And I wish I would have enjoyed it more. Like I took it very seriously. I always felt like I had so much pressure on me. And really it was like, oh no, that was playtime. Like that was exploration time. And I wish I had appreciated that. But I would say I don't miss it because for me personally, that environment became so toxic. You know, it was just a really toxic work environment. And it felt totally freeing to release myself of that. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think what we miss is that younger part of us, maybe not so much the job itself, but who we were in that very moment. And I never knew that about you and Martha Stewart. And I love these White and Reads because I'm learning so much about everybody.
She was badass. I mean, she's like in her, I don't know, 70s or 80s, and she like hops off a jet plane, walks onto the stage. I introduce her, she does her thing, and then bam, she's off to like New York City. Like she was just, you know, going. But no, that was really cool. And you know what, I will say this, you know what I do appreciate about the job is that I did not know that I was capable or even able to be a good manager. And I don't toot my own horn a lot, but like I'm a great manager. Like I'm a really great manager because I love people. I'm a service manager where I put relationships first. That's very important to me. And so I protected my team. I went to bat for my team. I had a bunch of 20-year-olds right out of college and I fought for them. And I really love nurturing that talent. And that was something that I was able to discover from this job that I don't know that I would have found out about myself otherwise. So
yeah, and I'm glad you left because choosing health over anything else is always the utmost important thing in life. And someone, this is from Ava. She said, Melissa, how did you overcome feeling judged or judging yourself? And from what you just said, I don't think you judge yourself. Except that you're good. You're good.
I was worried about, like, because I loved the ego part of me, right? Loved being able to introduce myself and say, I'm Melissa Farley. I work at USA Today. And I thought, oh my God, if I don't have that, like, who's ever going to be impressed with me ever again? What job am I going to get that's cooler than that? Right. And instead I did the craziest thing. I don't know if anybody's been to networking events, like how us actors do, but every time you go to a networking event, they always ask you like, oh, what are you working on right now? What project are you working on? And I got such joy from doing this. They would ask me that and I'd go, nothing. And they'd look at me and they'd like wait for me to fill that space or like say something. And I'd be like, yeah, no, it's great. I just have time to do whatever I want. And like, it was so fascinating to me to like kind of take that power back. And so it was a pretty quick transition where I realized it really doesn't matter what I do, because what I do isn't who I am. I'm so much more than what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so true of everybody, And so I think that's something that I put into effect when I go to these networking events now. I don't even ask about jobs anymore. I try to get to know the person. So yeah.
Thank you. And you are every woman so far. The more this book has, this journey that I've taken with you and Diane, I've learned so much about both of you that you think you know somebody and you really don't. You're just scratching the surface of like the Italian, and then you scratch it and there's the pizza and the spaghetti and the red wine. But there's one more question here. And I know you're a big reader, so someone trusts that about you and they want to know, was there a book that you read that stood out for you through the self-help process you were going through?
Yeah, so there's a really great book that I like by Stephen Cope called The Great Work of Your Life. And it's about the concept of Dharma, and Dharma is basically your life purpose. I cannot read it. I cannot pronounce it to save my life, but I did read the Bhagavad Gita. And that was something that I stumbled on because of this book by Stephen Cope, because they referenced that so much, because it's all about Dharma. And that was a really fascinating study for me. And then I also read a story about 9 women who changed the course of American history. And it was all about these women that, did things so uncelebrated and unheard of during their times and were not recognized during their times, but they were truly so just passionate and sure about what they were doing that it really did change history, and it inspired me to let go of the idea of like outside acceptance and really go within and find that value from within. So.
And that's beautiful. And as we close, I do want to give a shout out to your husband and to your parents, because to support somebody else is just hugely, hugely important. So thank you, Mom and Dad and hubby. Thank you.
They were so cute. My parents go, is this going to be weird? Because they're so used to film stuff, being weird. And I was like, no, it's going to be pretty tame. And my husband was joking with me. He goes, yeah, except everybody's going to be in the nude. And I was like, no, that's not what's going to happen.
But I'm sure they're glad they showed up, and we appreciate them for loving you so much.
And I hope so. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So inspiring to listening to you all. All right. We are going to go on to Marilyn or Zot.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank you. I want to thank Melissa, Kimber, and Teresa for this wonderful opportunity, and for you kind of guiding me in to do this, dragging my heels in the dirt a little bit, because I told you, well, I'm a PE teacher. I am not a writer or an author. And you were not listening to that or not having it. So for that, I thank you, because this is a fabulous opportunity. I'm really honored. And I love that we're giving the money to charity in support and help of women. This is the most important thing that I think we could do these days, because there's a great need. My chapter, I'm not going to read anything. I going to just give you a little extra tidbit to it. But my chapter is called Best Friends and Equal Buddies. And it starts out when I was a young child growing up in rural Ohio. And we were kind of in the country. I had my brother Carl and our two neighbor boys, Tommy and Chucky. And we were the four kids that roamed the whole pastures and woods and trees and softball fields and what have you all the time. It was wonderful. I had wonderful memories. I have wonderful memories. There was always an equality of gender. I was the only girl and the three guys. And there was never back then a question of me being able to do whatever the guys were doing or join in with what the guys were doing or play whatever sport, whether it was football or softball or climbing trees. I was equal to them. And that's how I started growing up and in all of my younger years. Now, I would like to make one aside here and dedicate this chapter that I wrote to my brother Carl, because he passed away several years ago, and he was one of my buddies. He was one of my three buddies, my best one, actually. So this is for you, Carl. And I would like to take this adventure from those wonderful accepting days to my high school years. And I went to a school that was 7 through 12, the facility itself. And we had physical education. I always enjoyed sports. I always knew that's what I wanted to do and pursue that as a career. But back in those days, girls, your mothers probably know this better than you would, were limited vastly in what we were permitted or allowed or thought we were allowed to do. I did not know that until I hit 7th grade and found out all of these things that, gosh, we can't do this. And I can remember we had sports, but it was called Girls Athletic Association, GAA. We didn't go anywhere. It was all intramural sports playing. I played volleyball and softball. The activities were fun for us. They were competitive for us. We had a good time, all of the girls together playing, but we'd see the guys get on buses and go play other schools and other teams. And, you know, we had fun playing each other, but what the heck, we were like, okay, that's fine. And it went on to be more limiting as I got to my sophomore, junior, and senior year. It was limiting. And when I got to college, I found even more walls put up in the same effect as gender. And when I began teaching, we finally got to Title IX in the early 70s. So that's almost 50 years that we've been fighting, or not fighting, but moving and marching against this. Well, we saw Megan Rapinoe take it all the way to the White House on behalf of the women's soccer team for equality of the genders as far as equality is concerned in pay and equipment. Back in the day when we would play, we would just use the equipment that was in the locker room and wear our tennies and no uniforms or anything of the sort. So Title IX has come a long way for us in that respect, that we now have transportation and uniforms and equipment and so forth. But in the more professional and advanced sports, you don't see the equality between the genders quite yet. And so that's something that we still have to march forward towards in becoming on the same footing as the men. And this has been a process of more than 50 years. So that's what I could tell you. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, you did great.
Okay.
Okay, so we have some questions for you.
Okay.
Kimber wants to know, what is the one reason why you finally said yes to Diane in writing a chapter?
Well, she is such a wonderful person. I could not ever, ever, ever say no to her and mean it, because she's always been, she was a fabulous student. There's just no way that I could say no to this young woman, because she was just the best. So to really say no to her and mean it, that I couldn't do that. I could not do that to her. And I thought, well, okay, she's going to push me. I guess I'll let her push me and I'll go do what she wants me to do. No problems. And also, I have to say, Julie Kidd was a former student of mine too. And I'm so proud to see her doing so well. Congratulations, Julie. And that was it. I couldn't say no to Diane. She's just too fabulous a person.
I just wanted to say this real quick. She pushed you because you pushed her when she was in school now. Isn't that the truth?
Well, I think you're right. Thank you, Kimber. That's something to think about. Something to think about. Yes, I did. I did. But she was just, I couldn't say no. Could not say no to her. She's just wonderful. I don't have enough words to express just how magnificent I think she is. And she's done such wonderful work and developing this for the charities in Arizona. I'm just astounded.
Thank you, Zot. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Diane, I feel like you should pay her. Every time we have her in a room with you, she's like a walking billboard for you. So is that, I know you might not think of yourself this way, but I feel like you're a little bit of a revolutionary in your life. And I'm curious, who were your role models? Who did you see setting example for yourself?
Oh my gosh, back in those days. That's really a tough question. Back in those days, there really were not a lot of female role models that in sports. I'm speaking of sports now because I ended up going into physical education. There were not really a lot of role models back then to aspire to or look up to. I mean, that I can really think of off the top of my head. I mean, there was nobody in volleyball, no professional, but professionally speaking. I mean, there were my teachers in high school. I had college, I had one dance teacher and she was wonderful. But not as far as in my younger high school years. Was there anyone that really was someone I could hang my hat on and say, wow, there was nobody. Back then, there weren't that many people. There were guys, I could tell you, Bob Feller and all these baseball players, my goodness gracious, but not women. No.
Right. That's why it was so important, the work that you did. And Kimber even says you're a trailblazer. And I agree with her. So.
Who knew? Who knew?
So this isn't necessarily a question, but I don't know why this stood out to me, but I would love for you to just share how many cruises you've been on with this group, because I was so blown away.
Well, when I retired, I always had on my bucket list that I was going to travel, because I always set it aside while I was working in the summer months. I was with my son and family and so forth. I didn't do a lot of traveling outside of the United States. So when I retired, I went on so far 40 cruises. And my plan was to do one big one and two smaller ones every year. So I have pretty much done that. Now, since my granddaughter, Eva, has been born, she will be 7 in June. I have cut back immensely on the cruises because I just cruise on up to Sherman Oaks where they live and hang out with her. But I have been on 2 cruises with her and her mom and my son. We've gone so far to Alaska and Mexico. So those are the 2 family cruises. So I'm really looking forward. I'd like to take another one once again to South America. I enjoyed South America and I didn't get to Antarctica because they were having a blizzard and they canceled our plane trip, but yada, yada, yada. So I've been on 40 and I'm still going to go on, I hope, a whole bunch more, and with my granddaughter as well, taking her.
Okay, so we're out of time. But I have to say, is that your granddaughter on the call? Is she on the call? Is that her?
Ava is there and my son, and I don't see them though. I just have my cell phone. I don't have a laptop that shows everybody. I only see Diane and myself in the little corner, but there is that Ava, and Nathan is my
They're
son.
there,
and,
yeah.
and
Hi.
Jennifer is my daughter-in-law. Yes, they're up in Sherman Oaks. Oh, they're there. Good. They said they were going to watch, and I don't know who's there. And I saw Cindy Wilson. I have to wave to her too, because she was one of my wonderful students.
Cindy's waving. She's waving at you.
Hi, Cindy. Hi, Cindy. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You've been absolutely awesome in creating this wonderful, wonderful piece of work to inspire and support women. Thank you.
Well, you were just a joy, and I wish that you would have been my teacher. I would be one of your loyal cohorts showing up. So
we would have had so much fun. Yes, we would.
Thank you so much.
Love it. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you. Thanks, Diane.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Now, do I go back on mute now? I tap that. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we have 3 more authors to talk, but before we do that, we're in the middle, so we're going to do a door prize. So I'm going to pull another name from the list. Can't see. And oh gosh, is it Giuliana Giulianna? Are you here?
Juliana, that's my cousin. Yay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
She's on. I think she's on mute, but she's on. She's on the call.
Awesome. Well, this is what she gets. She gets a tote bag.
Yay, I win something. I'm on.
All right. So you can, we'll chat about that, Jennifer.
All right.
So stay on your mic, because we've got you up next.
Oh, yay. So hi, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Jennifer Ruddle. I'm sorry that you're seeing a picture of me instead of live. But I am an actress and a pageant queen, and I'm going to break from kind of what everybody else has been doing. And I'm actually going to read a little bit from my chapter, which is called Conquering Like a Queen. It was September of 2017. My husband, Brian, was turning 50, and we were celebrating big. We spent a week in Belize, swimming in the ocean and hiking Mayan ruins, followed by a weekend in California, driving race cars and eating tons of great food. Then a weekend in Las Vegas, seeing shows and walking the strip, ending with a week in Alaska visiting family. We returned from our travels on a Sunday, and on Monday morning, I woke up feeling like I had the flu. I always get sick when I travel, so I wasn't really concerned and figured it would pass quickly. For the next 2 weeks, I suffered through a fever, back pain, and constipation. Telehealth and urgent care doctors prescribed antibiotics that did nothing to help. Finally, my husband told me I needed to go see my family doctor. I had an appointment on a Friday morning at 10 a.m. He ran blood work and sent me home with another antibiotic. At 5 p.m. that night, he called me and said, "I don't want to scare you, but I need you to go to the emergency room right now. You're severely anemic. You have half the blood in your body that you should have. And if you don't get a blood transfusion immediately, your organs are going to start shutting down and you could have a stroke or a heart attack at any minute." I'll admit, my first thought was that he was crazy. I mean, yes, I wasn't feeling great, but it couldn't be that bad. My husband, on the other hand, felt like we should listen to the doctor. He rushed home from work and took me to the ER. We were checked in and brought back to a room right away, even though the waiting room was full of people. So I knew they thought it was serious. After giving me Ativan to calm me down, because I'm terrified of needles, they started the blood transfusion and admitted me to the hospital to find out why I was losing so much blood. Looking back, it seemed obvious. I had been experiencing rectal bleeding during the previous year. My doctor thought it was probably irritable bowel syndrome. I was embarrassed talking to him about it, so I didn't make a big deal of it. At one point, I passed out while on set filming a commercial. My doctor sent me to a cardiologist who just put me on salt tablets to help raise my blood pressure. 8 months later, here I was in the hospital. The next few days were a whirlwind of x-rays, endoscopies, CT scans, echocardiograms, MRIs, and biopsies. I woke up from my colonoscopy to the first big blow. The doctor said, "We found a mass. I sent it out for a biopsy, but I've seen this before. I'm 99% sure it's cancer." I remember laughing. Cancer? Me? No, no way. I thought he was really going to look stupid when it turned out to be a large internal hemorrhoid or something. But 24 hours later, I heard the words adenocarcinoma of the rectum. The next blow came a few days later when we were told it had spread. Metastatic to the lungs, stage 4. An oncologist came into my room and started talking about survival statistics. He said stage 4 colorectal cancer patients had an 11% survival rate. When I asked, "Does that mean I'm going to die from this?" he looked me in the eye and without hesitation said yes. However, 3 years later, I'm still here. So that's what I wanted to read from my chapter. I'm a little, it's weird reading it and knowing that 3 years ago, that's what I was going through. I don't think I was 41, and I don't think there's anything that prepares you to hear those words.
Yeah, I think like all of us are kind of stunned a little bit, like nobody knows what to say. But let me just ask you, and if you're not comfortable talking about it, that's fine.
No, yeah, ask away.
No, I just wanted to ask, I mean, I know it's 3 years later, but how are you now? What condition are you in now?
Well, that's kind of a good question. And I don't have a straight answer for you. And actually that's one of the reasons why you're seeing a photo of me instead of live picture. About 2 months ago, well, I'll back up. I was doing good. I went through chemo, radiation, I had surgeries, all in about a year, and I was doing really good, and we thought I was kind of past everything. And then my blood tumor markers started to go up, which indicates cancer may be back. So I was getting scans, we weren't seeing anything. And about a year later, we started to see some growth in the lesions in my lungs. So I did another round of radiation just this past July. And again, I was feeling good. And then the end of January, I woke up one morning in excruciating pain. And my husband called 911. I ended up in the emergency room. They did emergency surgery and they couldn't find anything. They said I had air in my stomach, but they didn't know where it was coming from. So they closed me back up. 3 days later, I'm in pain again. And so they were taking me down for a CT scan. And I told the doctor that I felt like I couldn't breathe. My lung collapsed. My heart stopped. They had to resuscitate me. They put me on a ventilator. They called my husband and they said, look, if we don't operate, she's not going to make it. If we do operate, there's still a chance she may not make it, but it's really the only thing we can do to try to save her. Because of COVID, he wasn't allowed to be in the hospital with me. So he's having to be home and try and figure all this out, not being there. But he said, do what you can to save her. So they took me in for emergency surgery. They found a perforated gastric ulcer in my diaphragm. So they were able to close that up. And really, they said, we don't know why this happened, but we're assuming it was from the radiation that I had to my lungs in July. It just took that long, to perforate and to cause problems. So right now I'm kind of on 3-month scans. I actually had an MRI today, so I'm kind of waiting for news on that. And we're just kind of watching things. We watch the spots in my lungs to see if the radiation took care of them. If it didn't, then I move to another treatment and see what happens. But cancer it's not an A to B, it's very up and down. And sadly, a lot of times treatment causes issues in the future and you don't know what's going to happen. So I take it day by day. I try to stay positive. I had a friend say to me the other day, "You're so brave." And I said, "But what am I supposed to do? I have," oh, I'm going to get emotional. "I have family and friends. Actually, my husband's here with me and my aunt and cousin are on the call. And, if people I love in my life, and I still have things I want to do. So you do what you have to do and you move forward,
Yeah, I think, and I'm sure lots of all the other people and women here will be keeping you in our thoughts and prayers as you go through this journey. And, you actually addressed the next question I was going to ask you, which is, your mindset, your attitude is remarkable. I mean,
Thank you.
Yeah, I just cannot, get over sort of your your resilience with this. And I know that you have family and a husband as a support system. And I just want to share with you that you are getting so much love in the chat.
Oh.
So when you get a chance, please take a few moments to read the chat and everything that everyone is saying to you. And you have
Thank you.
inspired so many with your story. And you are just an incredible woman. Thank you so much for your honesty and your vulnerability and your strength and for sharing that with us. You have several people in tears here. So thank you so much, Jennifer. It was an honor to speak with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Diane, for having me be a part of this book. I wrote to Melissa earlier, but sharing your story really is so cathartic for people. And this has done so much for me personally to be able to share this. So thank you for that gift of letting me be part of this book. I really appreciate it.
You're absolutely welcome. And thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your story, because there are other people out there, I'm sure, that will benefit from, learning about the experience, and they may even be in the same, the same situation. So thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Danyelle, are you there? There she is. Okay.
Yeah, I had a German Shepherd that wanted to come play, so I had to take care of her for a second. Thank you very much for having me. I feel so honored to be amongst all of you lovely ladies, and I was fighting back tears a few times, so I'm trying to catch myself just a little bit, but that's a shedding of a good experience. So my chapter is called "For Such a Time as This." And I'm also going to read a little bit from, I'm going to skip around a little bit for some of the paragraphs. When someone you love is dying or has died, everything seems to stop inside and around you. It feels like everything outside of your existence doesn't have a solid place in your mind. Stuff is just stuff. Trivial conversations, TV, news, music, and songs with stupid lyrics irritates the senses beyond comprehension. The realization becomes that what really matters is that common cliched but most important word, love. Yeah, love. But why don't we see it? Why don't we see the value of our time on this planet and the value of who we are in this beautifully orchestrated life? Fighting became my avenue to vent my childhood frustrations. While bullying those that I had targeted as weak, I became the protector of my little brother and anyone that needed protecting, even myself. Ignoring pain can sometimes breed more pain. When hearing the routine dysfunction in my home, I often dissociated myself from the world by retreating to my bedroom closet. The pain inside me was overwhelming. Stomach issues plagued me. Stress was not something that was in my vocabulary at that young age. Medications were ingested to help, quote unquote, fix the gastric stresses plaguing me. One of those bottles rested on my closet shelf next to a small white Bible. In my retreating, I would tearfully stare at that bottle and the Bible, wondering which one in larger volumes would solve my pain. The Bible always won for some reason. I wanted someone to save me. My daddy stopped drinking when I was a young teenager. My parents both had professional advancements, which reduced the arguments about money. However, the dysfunction remained. They taught me through perseverance and dedication obstacles can be overcome, that time may reveal lessons in the form of strategic patience. This is the period for me where the painted canvas of my body took center stage. During intermediate school, high school, and college, the theme was Black girl first, beauty second, and then everything else. As the years progressed, I knew that my duty was to pave the way for other young ladies that looked like me. I wanted to be respected for my individuality. Color is a part of me, as is every other trait that God blessed me with. Many teachers and individuals did not see my worth because I was Black. And on the flip side, many of my Black friends thought of me as the white girl because of how I talked and where I lived. None of them had a clue of my struggles. Starting at a young age, I saw opportunities to change the system I was in and took steps to do so by becoming the first Black in many areas and advancing the goalposts further from what others had done before me. I'm going to stop there.
Thank you
I'm
so
just gonna-
much
You're
for
welcome.
sharing that excerpt from your chapter. I remember when I interviewed you, or Diane and I interviewed you, you were kind of talking about this theme that I think was running through your chapter about being born at the right moment. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I am of the belief that everyone has their time in history, that there's no accidents while you're present at the time you're supposed to be, that we're interacting. And I think history is supposed to be history. Your ancestors that came before you, they have been appointed at their duly time, and that history comes when it's supposed to be attached to you. You either take those lessons, you ignore them, or you progress advance with those lessons that were supposed to be given to you. And so yeah, I think I'm supposed to be here at this time, interacting with you wonderful people, learning the lessons that I'm supposed to be listening and at some times and contributing at others, and either being silent and moving that forward in whatever capacity. And so uh, this journey that we're on for me is one, I guess you could say, of enlightenment and contribution.
I
Does
love
that kind of
that.
answer your question?
Yeah, so we got a question about what impact do you hope to have on future generations of young Black women?
I guess so. I talk about Black women, but I hope that all women, in a sense, but yeah, let's talk about Black women. That anything is possible, in a sense. I mean, you just because you don't see it doesn't mean it can't be. And I saw people that I didn't know how to do that. I guess you can manifest that type of thing in a sense, as well, as we were talking, Julie was talking. And I didn't know what that was. I just could feel it inside. And so for that feeling, or that thing is that you know that you just ache for, but you just can't quite put your finger on it sometimes. There's a way to get there. You just may not know, but you have to ask. There's usually probably somebody around you that either has that or knows of somebody, or there's a way to navigate those obstacles if you think they're obstacles. And so to me, obstacles have always been opportunities. It's just another way for me to get around it. So
This question is kind of in line with that. Kimber always asks the really big, hard question. She asked, do you believe that history will ever get it right?
I already think that history already got it right.
Mm.
And so I guess I say that because there's always been slaves. There's always been, kings. There's always been somebody of somebody of somebody. Okay. And so I say that because I'm here at this time. My parents didn't, I'm not sitting up in the balcony where my mom would sit when she went to the movies, and she couldn't go down down and sit in the lower levels. You know, they didn't have to, I'm not sitting and drinking. My husband's white, by the way. So there's another thing. So I'm married to somebody that I love because I can. And my parents, you know, my mom looks white, but she wasn't. So like I bring the water up because I'm not drinking out of a different fountain if I have to go somewhere. So I guess I think history has got it right. Because my time, that would go against the way I think of things in a sense. And so is there progress that can still be made? Oh, heck yeah. Consider where I was when I was a child to where I am now and the experience that I've had. It's night and day. But there's still more things that need to be changed. So
Right.
that's where I stand on that one. So yeah.
Can you talk a little bit how you've managed to rally support as you've been on this journey and sort of bring people along with you?
Well, I'm a server first. And so if you're serving and you're setting an example and you don't think you're better than, people want to know more about you, I think. And they believe that you have their best interest first. And so with that, people know I'm genuine. I really, when I say what I'm gonna do, I usually do it. And so there's no usually, I do it. That gets me in trouble sometimes, but I do it. And they know that I'm gonna be their biggest cheerleader. And so I think that's, my network is very big because people trust me and I trust them. And I wanna continue to serve in any way, capacity, and not really have anything back in return. So that has benefited me. One of those ladies is sitting right here, and that's Ammie, you know, and Diane, you know. And so I'm there for them. They know that I will, if you call on me, you've got me in the drop of a hat.
What is your focus? What is your mission right now? Like, how can we best support what you're trying to make happen right now in your life?
Oh, that's the thing. I'm in trouble. I do too many things. Yeah, I'll just say from this standpoint, I want, as going through breast cancer, we touched with Jennifer on cancer. I've gone through breast cancer. I want to make sure that you ladies take care of yourself. If there's something that those whispers in your head come that says pay attention, please pay attention. Don't ignore. I ignored a little bit of mine and it advanced. So just, it doesn't have to be cancer, whatever that is. Give yourself true self-care. And if there's anything else, I'm not asking for it right now. Who knows? I may knock on your door. Just listen. If I knock on your door, know that I come with good intention. There's that. So, but take care of yourself. I think that's the biggest thing.
I love that.
Thank you.
And let me just say, you look stunning. You look like you're about to step onto a red carpet. So like, you've put all of us to shame. I feel like.
Oh, you're just so funny. Thank you. Look. I don't go anywhere very much. This is my life. So you know what? I'm going to bring it for you guys.
Thank you. Cheers to that.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Danyelle. I just want to say that we receive, you know, all the authors sent in inspirational videos, the 1 minutes, and they were all amazing. And I think yours was the first one I got, Danyelle, or it had a big impact on me. So if you guys have not watched all the inspirational videos, you should go watch everybody's, including Danyelle's. And it just had such an impact on me, the way that you presented yourself and what you said during that. So that was awesome.
Well, thank you. Just a hint, I don't look like this. Not even close.
Beautiful with and without.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Diane.
We have one person left, and that would be Ammie. Hi.
Hi, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
I'm so busy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you so much. God is good. But I'm so happy and blessed and honored to be here. Danyelle's always trying to show me up. That's number one. She's gorgeous, beautiful person inside and out. You all are amazing. I'm really honored to be just in the presence of so many wonderful, beautiful souls, women, human beings from so many different walks of life with so much experience. It's a gift to have you all here and to have your story. So thank you for including me in that. And I have to say for Zot, now I know what happened to Julie McCoy from the Love Boat. 40 cruises. Have you been the cruise director? We didn't know it. Tell the truth, Zot. I got to know the truth. Nobody can hear you right now, Zot. You got to unmute yourself. But yeah, 40 cruises. Your goals for me right now. So I just wanted to, I'm gonna unmute you because I can't. Your goals for me, Zot. I just want to put that out there because that's awesome. But so I digress. Thank you so much again for having me. I'm just gonna read like a little snippet and then I'm gonna give you a quote to go with it and then just wing it after that. Once I started that leg of my journey, everything became crystal clear and I have never looked back. Growing up the way I did and going through all of those challenges was hard. It was painful and oftentimes very frightening. But I wouldn't change a thing because it made me the person I am today. Seeing the seemingly impossible happen and growing more and more through it all has given me the undying belief. Positive thinking and a hopeful spirit can give you victory in every situation. I possess the ability to dream bigger, despite the nightmares I've had been shown by others. And I now know everything is possible. And my quote is, it's the journey, not the destination. And the reason why it's on all my emails and stuff at the bottom, and I teach it to my clients. I own a coaching business. I'm an actor and I coach other actors in auditions and career coaching and mindset. And I put out Mindset Monday videos. I do Monday mindset videos every week because I think it's important. I do it for, Actors Grind is the name of my business, but it applies to every person. I believe it applies to everyone in every facet of their life, no matter what they do. And the reason why I love that quote is because we have to acknowledge, and a lot of women have said it tonight, what the journey is. Who we are now it was a part of that. It was a part of making us who we are. We learn, we grow, we move forward, we pass it on. I believe everything we have is not ours to keep, much like this book. And sharing it with more and more people and women and just people across the world, that's the gift. It's not about how can I get and where am I going? It's enjoying every single moment on the way and not letting the small things rule you. Like with Melissa, she wanted to feel joy in her life, not just the work, but what's that true joy? What's that true passion? And that's how I live my life now. Growing up the way I did, it's taught me that it's important. I believe everyone deserves to be happy. And my goal in life is I always ask God to let me use my gifts to inspire, encourage, entertain, and bring joy. No matter what I'm doing, those are the 4 things I want to happen. Because it really, truly brings me joy to see other people happy. So along my journey, I don't take anything for granted. I've learned that it's every single day is a gift, and whatever we can do in that time we have is it's amazing. And we have a small responsibility to, give joy and be kind and show anything is possible. And I truly believe anything is possible. I've seen it. God's worked in my life so much. There's nothing, it's never crossed my mind I wouldn't be successful, whatever that means to you. It's never crossed my mind I couldn't do it, and whatever that is. And so I just enjoy every single moment. So that's what I do. That's what I love. And that's what I've learned. Thanks for letting me share, y'all.
Thank you.
So when Diane held up that 1 minute sign, I was like, Diane, you're a liar. Because every time Ammie talks, it goes by so fast. Like, it's so wonderful. I'm just like, no, that was like 30 seconds. What are you talking about?
Thank you. I used up half of it on Zot.
You did. Your face, though, when she said she had been on 40 cruises,
right?
I wish I had taken a picture of it because, you were just like, what?
That's what happened to Julie McCoy. Now I know. Mystery solved, y'all. Look no further. She's right there.
So I don't know, Ammie, I don't know you very well. I just know you from the interview that we did a while back ago. And I gotta say, just from that short time with you, I felt like you are so wise and have this magical energy. And Kimber just said, I wish the world was full of Ammies. I agree.
Oh, thank you.
I think that there's just something so special about you. And so I'm going to ask a loaded question that I don't know if you can answer, but you know, there's so many people that come from similar backgrounds that you came from that do not have this attitude, that do not have this approach or this mindset about life. So where did that come from for you? I mean, was that something that you manifested from self, or did you have someone in your life that kind of showed you a different way? Like, how did this happen?
It's a great question. It is a little loaded, but it's a great question. Thank you. I attribute everything I have, everything I am, and where I am today in my life and what I've been brought through to God. 100%, no question about it. It's always put somebody in my life, in my way, to show me something different. I was very, very close to my grandfather. His name is Steamboat. It's actually his nickname, but it's on his hats. And I promise you, mail came to his house and it said Steamboat. But in the midst of how I grew up, and that was constant turmoil, he was my calm. And he showed me exactly what my life could be. Every time I was with him, I felt safe. I felt, seen. I felt protected. I felt important. And so I valued those things. And so I chose, because my brother and sister don't have the same outlook I do. And people can choose to have to take a different road. I don't accept excuses from anybody because I know what's possible. So from my students, from my friends, if they get down on themselves like, come on now, because you're still breathing, you still have the capacity to speak, you still have the capacity to love, to feel, you have all the things. And so it's what's carried me through. My grandfather had a huge impact on me, and I wanted to be with him every day. And so, having him in my life made a huge difference, because that was my calm. And that was something that showed me there's a different life out there. And he told me every single day of my life, I could do anything. He called me Duke. And he said, Duke, baby, you could do anything you want to do. And he told me to be a cruise director on a cruise ship. That's not a lie. That's true. Call back. So, I mean, and that
you would be really good at that, actually.
Thank you. That encouragement just really drove me. And so I have a Disney princess outlook on life, but I had anything but growing up. So, I feel like it's a full circle in the fairy tale story almost. And I choose to always bright side everything. I have to, because there's always a way. Nothing is impossible. So since nothing is impossible, then nothing lasts forever. Bad times don't last forever. I just got to get through it. Don't get me wrong. I have bad days and I feel those things, but then I look at what I have. I'm grateful. I go to my gratitude journal. I pray. I thank God for everything in my life that's amazing and the people I have. And then I have to move forward because there's so much more out there. It's the next thing. It's the next thing. So rise from the ashes, baby.
Love it. Love it. I'm going to ask you another possibly weird loaded question, but so I tend to think that people and humans are more alike than we are different. And I know you coach acting students and you're also a business coach. And I'm wondering if you see any common themes in what people feel like they are lacking or need more of in their life, and what you usually advise them or coach them to do about that.
Yes, thank you. No matter who you are, what you do in life, actor, lawyer, doctor, whatever, there's always that little bit of doubt in yourself and not believing for some reason you deserve something. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be successful, and what that means. And so everyone has a problem with, and I think sometimes it's the way we're raised, have a problem with saying, I'm actually good enough. There's a little girl on here, so I'm kind of the stuff. I can move forward. I'm able, I'm capable. And so we all have trouble saying that about ourselves because it feels like arrogance, or it might feel like being conceited, when it's really just having confidence and knowing you deserve everything you want within the limits of the law. But you deserve everything you want, and you go get it. Just do the research and find out how you can get it and go get it. Manifest it. Speak life always.
I love it. I feel like both times I've interacted with you, I feel like I've just left like a Tony Robbins conference. Like my energy is just like, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. This was fun. I had a great time with y'all. Thank you. I know my 5 minutes is up. Thank you, Diane. I saw you cute little sign.
buzzkill when that happens, but
No, you're fine. You're fine. But you're all awesome. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Thanks, Diane, Kimber, Melissa, and Teresa, and all. Molly, I found out now who Molly is, and I forget the other young lady's name. Please put them in the chat.
Dominique.
yes.
Dominique, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you all. That was really wonderful. I know Melissa and Kimber have something to say here, but I wanted to just, I don't know if I said this before, but if you want to go back and watch all of the videos, all of the inspirational videos, all of the announcement videos, all of the Zoom interviews, you can find those on you can find them on the Facebook page, but it's also easy to find them on our YouTube page, which is From Us For You on YouTube. And so it might be easier to, if you need to go back and catch up, that'll probably be an easier place to go. So, okay. All right, ladies, you have something to say?
Kimber, you want to go first?
Thank you. I love you so much, Melissa. Just like what Ammie just said about this book, it isn't about us, but it is about our story. And if you know anybody out there that you can share this book with that might be struggling, that you know would help them. This book became best-selling on the first day of its release. We are super excited about it. So know that when you are gifting this book, you are gifting a jewel, a diamond, a gem, a wealth of information. And please, when you promote it as best-selling. And the release is April 14th. Super, super excited. Yay for all of us. And it's been a pleasure. This is our last wine and read. And I just want to say, Melissa and Diane, what are we going to do now?
Book number 2.
I love you all so much, every woman on here. And to that beautiful little girl, I'm so happy that you stayed and were a part of this, because you are our future and we love you and you're beautiful. And go ahead, Melissa.
Okay. Yes, I just want to say a couple things. First is thank you so much, Diane, for again pulling this incredible group of women together. Oh my gosh, you have surrounded yourself with some of the most amazing, inspiring people. And so it is just a treasure to be able to be a part of a project like this. I want to thank Kimber for all of your amazing ideas and your big heart and your encouragement. And you have just been so pivotal in making this a success. And I absolutely love you. So thank you so much. Thank you to all of the authors who spoke tonight and shared your stories, shared your truths. And we cannot do this without you. You are powerhouses. You are gifts to the world. Do not ever forget that. Thank you to everyone who joined in tonight. This was our last wine and read, but we do have our virtual launch party next week on April 14th. Please come. If you're an author and you don't come, we will hunt you down. Please invite all of your family and friends to join us. We're going to get you some cool invites that you can send out to family and friends. And like Kimber was saying, we have an intention of making this a #1 bestseller. So please, you can pre-order the ebook right now, and then paperbacks come out on the 14th. So, and proceeds are going to the AZ Foundation for Women. So, if you're feeling guilty about spending money, don't, because you're helping women. So please feel encouraged to do what Kimber said and buy it as gifts, or buy it for your family. And we just thank you all so much for being a part of this and making this happen. And we hope to see all of you again on April 14th. And we have some fun surprises and giveaways and things that we'll be doing. So thank you, ladies. Have a really great week.
Thank you. And before we go, you're talking about giveaway.
Oh, one more door prize.
We got one more. This gets interesting because sometimes the people still aren't here. So is Eve here? Oh, I see your name on there. Eve.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Well, you get the Fuffy wine glass.
Oh, that's right up my alley.
That's perfect for her.
So who are you? Who invited you?
My niece Jennifer.
Okay, so all right, Jennifer, man, you're raking.
My family cleaned up tonight.
I wish Jennifer would have invited me.
Eva's love rubbed off on me. So
Thank you, everybody. I'll lift the glass one more time to you all for being here and spending the evening with me. It made it very, very enjoyable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you so much.
All right, bye. Everybody's got to wave now.
Bye, guys.